Previously on Failproof Kitchen.
Rubs, vinaigrettes, and marinades. Oh, no way. Things like rubs, marinades, and vinaigrettes are going to give you variety and flavor while also maintaining your health and wellness through meal prep and convenience.
Squeezing it upside down so it catches any seeds.
Oh my gosh.
So we're just whisking it a little slower. I think we nailed it.
Welcome to Failproof Kitchen. I'm Jenna Fail.
And this is Chef Robbie Jester, winner of Guys Grocery Games, Pressure Cooker, and Beat Bobby Flay. We know that focusing on protein is super huge when it comes to our fitness goals, our lifestyle goals, but it can get pretty boring if all you're doing is baked chicken and, ground beef and stuff like that. Today, we are going to work on some protein cooking and leveling up our protein cooking game. So we want to step our game up a little bit in how we cook things, which we can do just from a fundamental standpoint and technique. So first things first, we want to make sure when we're cooking proteins that we bring them out and we let them get to room temperature. Pull them out like 10, 15, 20 minutes. The bigger they are, the earlier you have to pull it out. Pull them out ahead of time, put them on a rack like this so they have the ability to drain if they need to drain or anything like that. But for this, we're gonna do two things. We're gonna marinate our chicken breast. So we have our vinaigrette here that we made in a previous episode. And Jenna, if you could take that chicken breast and put it into that bag for me and marinate that. We're just gonna let that marinate probably 6-8 hours or overnight. And we're gonna make some delicious chicken with that. Now, if we're going to be cooking a protein right now, there's a few things we wanna do. One, like we said, pull it out ahead of time, make sure that it gets to room temperature. Two, I'll take that for you. Two, we wanna make sure that it is dry. Now, dry, not like unpalatable dry. We wanna make sure that the surface of it is dry. The reason being is that if it's wet or there's any moisture inhibits browning. So we're gonna take our paper towels here, we're just gonna kind of blot this steak that we have here. Now this is a ribeye. It is my preference of steak and yours as well.
Yep.
So we're gonna be some happy customers tonight. We wanna make sure that we blot it dry. We wanna make sure that we have a pan, a saute pan here that is screaming hot. We're just there, I can see a few little like wisps of smoke. So our olive oil in the pan is the right temperature. We're gonna add a little bit more because we wanna make sure that it doesn't stick. And another good indication you can see right here is those little bubbles. When you have little bubbles like that, that means that your oil is at the temperature it needs to be at. So we're gonna season this with some of our kosher salt. We're gonna season it from up high. Now, I know the Salt Bae does this, and it's like his thing. He bounces it off of his elbow, which is disgusting. But besides that, there is functional reason why we do it this high. We want it to land gently on the steak so we can see the coverage. It's one of the big reasons. And when you do it from higher up, you get a more even covering.
Right.
So we're gonna go ahead and flip that over. Again, our coarse kosher salt, cracked pepper. And in this case, we made a little bit of rub. So we're also gonna add in some of our rub to this steak.
And these are in a past episode where you have both the vinaigrette and the rub, and they are so good and very versatile as well. Even on vegetables, it would be great.
So now that we have a little bit of rub on there, a little bit of rub, not a lot of rub, because the rub does have sugar in it. And we wanna make sure if our rub has sugar in it that we don't burn everything, because the sugar will burn quickly. So I kind of press it in there. We have this out room temperature. We have our hot pan, and we're gonna go in here and sear. Now, we wanna hear that sound. We don't want it to not have any sound at all, because no sound at all, not hot enough, we're steaming our meat. We also don't want it to be super high pitched, like it's screaming at us, because that means that we're gonna burn it. We want it right somewhere in the middle.
Is it true if you keep peeking to see if you're getting a crust, you're gonna lose it?
No. So you can actually peek at it a little bit. You can press it down like I'm doing here. Naturally, the fat on the steak is gonna curl the steak a little bit. So I'm pressing down on the steak to make sure that I got full coverage.
What is the general rule for how long you'll leave it before you flip it?
So the general rule is you're gonna leave it for however long it takes to get the color that you're looking for.
Okay.
So it's, I would say, the 4-minute mark or something like that is usually pretty good.
Okay.
And just like that, TV magic, 4 minutes has passed. We have a beautiful steak, and we're gonna go ahead and give it a flip.
Oh, wow.
So we have a nice dark color. Again, it's a little bit darker than if it was just by itself. You can kind of almost feel where it's got a little bit of crispiness there, but that's the sugar that we added to that marinade is giving it that color. Now we're gonna take it from here. We're gonna go into the oven. The oven's set at 425 on convection roast. We're gonna cook it for probably another 7 to 8 minutes.
Nice.
So our ribeye just came out of the oven. We want to now get it to the point where we're going to rest it. We have our resting rack right here. Make sure you're careful. This is super hot. The whole thing is super hot. Want to just get this off the pan and we're going to let it rest. But a few things about this resting process. So one, in restaurants, we learn to test doneness by feel. So each steak cut is a little bit different. A filet is different than a ribeye, is different than a New York. New York being kind of like the most tough, like not tough, but the most firm. Ribeye second, filet third. So you're gonna tap it like this, and you see how it kind of like caves there?
Yep.
I can tell from experience that what we got going on right there, when it caves in but bounces back, we're on like the top end of like medium rare, medium. So as it rests, all of those juices are gonna redistribute. We're really gonna have a beautiful steak to eat, but we wanna make sure that we give it that time to do so. So the other thing that you can do is you can use one of these, which is my favorite. If you're gonna have a thermometer, an instant read thermometer like this is awesome. You wanna make sure you go into the fattest portion and you check the temperature. Now I will say that this steak is a little on the thin side, so I'm trying to get a temperature appropriate. It's reading at like 130, which I would say, like I'm human, is a little bit high, but I think because the steak is a little on the thinner side and I'm not getting in there the way that I want to, that it's really probably on the medium rare side. So the bigger the steak, obviously the longer it needs to rest. But you know, a good rule for temperatures is it's always gonna carry over 8 to 10 degrees higher than when you pull it.
Okay.
So it's gonna continue to cook as it rests. So I can also see like a little bit of the juices starting to come out of the top where I poked it.
Bottom, yeah.
And that usually tells me when you see that juice come out of the top there, that's an indication that it's right around medium. So for a steak that you want to be rare or something like that, you're gonna pull it around the 110, 112 mark. A steak that you want to be medium rare, you're gonna go closer to like the 120 mark, and then medium, 125, 130, and then medium well is on up from there.
So it's a good indication if there's no juice, it's well done.
Yes.
We don't eat steaks like that.
If it looks dry as shit, it's well done.
Right.
If it looks moist, it's medium and under.
Okay, because that looked like that when you pulled it out. So, I mean, that looks
Yeah.
really
And
good.
I mean, it's kind of just doing its sexy thing right now. We're seeing it drip, drip a little bit. But super excited to let it rest for another couple of minutes and then slice into this bad boy. We're gonna finish it with a little bit of finishing salt, and then we're gonna taste it. So we've let it rest and we're ready to slice into it and give it a taste. So I like to cut it on a bit of a bias here. First one is always gonna be a little bit more done, but then on the inside, we're at a solid medium right here. I think it looks really good. I think that that's the hero for us to try. So let's go for it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good. Got a little bit of sugar.
And then, so what I like to do is after it's been sliced and displayed, we want to take a little bit of our finishing salt. So this is sea salt, and just season the open portions of it a little bit, because it is seasoned on the outside, but any of the cut portions are not seasoned. So as we slice through it, we want to put a little bit of finishing salt on it. It's going to add that little extra bit of love and care and just make it that much more delicious. So we have a beautiful, delicious steak that we're going to finish off camera.
I'm excited.
If you like stuff like this, like, share, follow,
subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.
and we'll see you on the next one.
Next time on Failproof Kitchen.
I want to have a little discussion about cooking methods, ways to build flavor whenever you want to eat healthy to make it more interesting for you. Wet cooking methods, that's braising, stewing, and things like that.
Gotcha.
Dry cooking methods, we're talking about sauteing, we're talking about roasting, we're talking about grilling and smoking and all of those things.
I don't do that. I'm impatient. It's looking good. It's smelling good. I'm eating it.